to be able to just make a choice on your own and just be able to speak for yourself.
This one's wife. The harder she tries. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. James Delingpole writes in The Spectator, and again we find another critical voice in respect of her show, but it also demonstrates another aspect of her narcissism. Delingpole writes, "You know that urge when you've got friends coming for the weekend, and you just have to spend the previous week putting together all the essentials for a successful stay. Personalised bags of truffle-flavoured popcorn and pretzel nibbles for their bedside, hand-blended, sensually curated bath salts, layer cake flavoured with honey from your private hives, etc. Well, if you've never had that urge, I've got some disappointing news. With love, Meghan may not be the programme for you. Wait, no, actually it might yet, but not for pleasurable reasons, only for car crash TV reasons. It's like the lifestyle TV equivalent of one of those rare public appearances by Mark Zuckerberg, where he pretends he is not a robot. The harder this one's wife tries to persuade us that she is warm, approachable, likeable, normal, homely, the more you're inclined to suspect the opposite." Now, pausing there, this makes a very valid observation with regard to this one's wife and how the harder she tries, the more it backfires. This demonstrates how the narcissist never learns. The narcissist never learns because there is no mechanism whereby they will hold themselves to account, because the default position is, it is the fault of somebody or something else. The narcissist never, ever sits down on their own and analyzes their behavior and thinks, I got that wrong. I should have done this a better way. It's my fault. They may recognize that something didn't go as planned, but their narcissism will ascribe the problem, the blame, to something or somebody else. This one's wife is compelled to try and persuade us that she is warm, approachable, likeable, normal, and homely, because that is the image that her narcissism has created of herself. When she sits down and considers who she is, she thinks that she does come across as warm and approachable and likeable and normal and homely, because although there is plenty of evidence that shows that she is not, and because she is naturally none of those things because of her absence of emotional empathy, and because her narcissism tells her this is what you are. Certain narcissists can get a much better approximation of those things than this one's wife, because their narcissism is more evolved, it's more skilled. These are the narcissists that often pass undetected. With this one's wife, she faces two problems. Her narcissism is of a lower grade, if you will. The model that has been purchased for her isn't the most effective. And whilst that would have been less of a problem if she were someone we didn't know about and wasn't famous, the other aspect that creates the problem is that not only is her narcissism not the most evolved, but the fact that she insists on being seen so often, because of course her narcissism drives her to do so, means that the failings that she has with regard to trying to portray herself as warm, approachable and likeable, etc., become all the more obvious. What then happens is a vicious circle for this one's wife. In order to control the audience and the public at large, Her narcissism tells her, you're warm, approachable, and likable. Therefore, her narcissism tries to make her behave that way. But remember, it doesn't know fully how to do it. So what it does is, it produces something that it thinks is close to that, but can't do it genuinely or authentically. She then behaves in a way where there is a fracture in the facade, the mask slips, and because she is highly scrutinized, because she's brought that on herself, plenty of people then point out these failings, that her attempts at warmth and approachability and likability do not seem authentic, that they've seen the death stare, they've seen the way that she prods and cajoles Harry, the way that she grabs at him, the way that she tries to take things over. And therefore, those criticisms are aired in the media and social media, and this one's wife becomes aware of them. Rather than doing this, okay, so they've seen that my behaviours aren't that good, I'll either stay out of the public eye so I'm not going to be scrutinised as much, or I will somehow up my game so that I get better at this. She doesn't do either of those things. She can't up her game because that would have to be admitting that she got it wrong in the first place, and she's incapable of doing that. She can't stay out of the public eye. She could, but she won't, because her narcissism compels her to keep staying in the public eye for the purposes of the pursuit of the prime aims. So what then happens is she tries harder to demonstrate that she is warm and approachable and likable in order to nullify the threats to control that say that she isn't any of those things. But she's not doing anything differently because she doesn't learn from what's gone on before. Remember, because of her compartmentalization, what has gone before dissipates into the ether, which means she attempts to appear warm and approachable, she fails. People highlight that failure, that threatens her need for control. She responds by trying to be warm and approachable, having taken on no lessons from what's gone before, and therefore all she does is double down on the behaviour, demonstrating, as people suspected and have now confirmed, she is neither warm nor approachable. And in such circumstances, this repeated attempt to try and convey to us that she is all of those things fails, because the harder she tries, the more she fails. If she had stern advisors who had forced her to stay out of the public eye, redemption might have been achieved some years ago. But naturally, nobody has been able to control her in that regard, and she never listens to any advice because she knows best. The fact is that she keeps trying to persuade the world that she is all of these things. Unfortunately, there are some people who are taken in by it, as there always will be. Supporters and people who generally think, oh, I think people are mean to her, she's not that bad, fail to grasp what she actually is, and naturally she will then gravitate towards those individuals as confirmation that she is warm and approachable and likable and normal and homely, and she will ignore all of the critics by simply saying, they are envious of me, they are haters, they are racists. She is utterly incapable of any form of self-reflection upon her behaviour, and seeking and craving that need for control subconsciously, she rejects any threat to it by dismissing any criticism of her, no matter how legitimate, and simply gravitates towards those that tell her what she wants to hear, because that demonstrates that they are under control. Therefore, she never learns. And all that happens is she continues to repeat the behaviours that you've seen before, so that the harder she tries, the more that she fails, the more that she makes the schoolgirl errors. This is why I've repeatedly told you she is not some Machiavellian mastermind. Yes, she's had an idea as where she wanted to get to in terms of status and money, but she's made so many gaffes because of the mid-range nature of her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.